Hey, I'm Connie. I am a hippie urban cowgirl that trains wild horses. I have always had horses in my heart, but they've not always been in my hands or physically present in my life. I grew up spending several years as a hunter jumper and getting lessons as a hunter jumper, competing in the A show circuit in Long Island, New York. And it was one of the happiest parts of my childhood. I'm a really quick learner, and I don't know if that has something to do with my ADHD or whatever labels I have attached to me. But my experiences have certainly shaped who I am and how I work with horses and what my plans are moving forward. I have been through plenty of trauma and abuse in my childhood, adolescence, young adult. Whether it was because I put myself in those situations or those situations were unfairly brought on to me, it's a part of my history. And I strongly believe that those experiences, not to anthropomorphize, or however you correctly say that word, but I feel like I can relate to that population based off of my own experiences. I love gentling wild horses. I've had some wonderful mentors. I would say that I probably don't have the same education as most of the followed trainers that you see out there, and there are some really amazing, wonderful trainers that I follow to learn more from. Definitely don't have all the answers, and I'm continuously working on improving and taking steps towards better understanding my craft. There are things I am not good at, and there are things that I'm really good at, and it comes down to how do I feel, how does my horse feel, or the horse that I'm working with, how do they feel when I'm working with them? A lot of what I do is based off of intuition and feel, of course, mixed with skill. And the skill is something I will be working on for the rest of my life. I always encourage my students or anybody that I work with to learn from a variety of people, because you can pick and pull what works best for you and the horse that you're working with or the horse that you own. And you can take these little bits and pieces and mesh them together and find something that works for you and that horse. And that's the beautiful thing about horse training. I'm really sensitive. However, I see the need for a balanced combination approach for things. I tend to get really upset when I see a lot of the judgments centered around the horse community. I feel like there are so many different humans and horses, and we all deserve to be supportive of each other, unless, of course, it's an abusive situation. You stand up for that and you say, that's not right. How did I end up with wild horses? If you would have met me 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was nothing like this. I've worn lots of hats, but I've worn this one the longest to date. I walked back into a show barn in my 20s after not being around horses since I was 12 or 13. I was 13. So I walked back into a show barn just to be around horses while I was going through a divorce. And that person gave me a chance. And that was Phyllis Kane at Beautiful Day Farms on the east end of Long Island. I kind of walked in like, I need to be around horses. And she gave me a chance. And I just kept growing from there. I'm 37 now. When I left New York, I briefly worked in show barns in Pennsylvania and down in Florida, and I had some really interesting experiences that kind of left my heart really heavy for the horse communities that I were a part of. And that's not to place any negative judgments on those people, because you can only be as good as you know. And moving to Colorado and meeting my first Mustang and being taken under some really wonderful mentors' wings kind of opened me up to this whole new world of things. I like to share my experiences and what has worked for me, and if that is helpful for you, that is a gift, right? So yeah, I'm just your not so average hippie urban cowgirl that loves wild horses. I figured I owed an explanation as to who I am, who I'm not, what I'm doing, you know, and I could probably make a video on this that is way longer than it needs to be. So I'm just trying to keep it short and simple so you can get a feel of who I am. I know I spend a lot of time writing, but I want to get a little more comfortable with being more personable and sharing videos. I'm actually pretty introverted in person, and I have more horse friends than human friends. But I have some wonderful human friends. I really do. And I honestly just really love what I do and am always evolving and growing. And definitely don't have all the answers, but I feel like I'm always getting better than I was yesterday. A big piece of working with wild horses, if it's something you're serious about, is seeking guidance and advice from many trainers, but mostly from the horses that you work with. You know, so experience facilitates knowledge. So yeah, I think that about covers it. I've had fun talking about myself, and I'll get back to horses shortly. Thanks for supporting me, and I'm so happy to share my journey with you. It will probably be a lot different than what you're used to. I'm not normal, and I just love sharing what I love most. So yeah, click like and subscribe if you plan to learn more about me and what I do.